Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll hear from a Poetry Out Loud contestant and student from Bismarck, actually. But first, our guest is Andrea Winkjer Collins. And Andrea, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
You are the editor of the North Dakota Horizons magazine. We're going to be talking about that just a little bit later. But before we do, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your background.
All right. I'm a Williston girl, born and raised in Williston. Attended the University of North Dakota. I guess I always was a writer and always interested in writing. I got a journalism degree from UND, and I was fortunate to have as my first job working with Marilyn Haggerty at the Grand Forks Herald. And I like to say that everything I didn't learn in college, which I was soon to realize was quite a bit, I learned from her. And she's been a great friend and mentor over the years. And it's been kind of fun to follow her recent fame. And so with my background, I worked for the Grand Forks Herald for a while and have done a number of other things. I worked on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. for Congressman and then Senator Mark Andrews. I worked at Basin Electric Power Cooperative in their corporate communications office. I worked at the University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation as editor, writer. I've taught journalism at Bismarck State College, speech at the University of Mary, and now I've been editor of North Dakota Horizons magazine for the past nearly 11 years.
Well, what got you involved? Obviously, your career probably led you, but what got you involved with North Dakota Horizons?
Well, you know how just kind of things open up and you think, oh, yeah, that sounds interesting, that sounds great. And the North Dakota Chamber, the Greater North Dakota Association, now known as the North Dakota Chamber, owned the magazine, and they were just looking for something, some way to keep it going. And our office, Clearwater Communications, where I worked, does some other publications, and we just offered, in 2003 to take it over and publish it for them, and we've been doing it ever since. And about a year ago, we just acquired ownership of it, took it away from them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's back up just a little bit and say, what is North Dakota Horizons magazine and how often is it published?
Okay, North Dakota Horizons magazine, we call it North Dakota State Magazine. Okay. And its sole purpose is to showcase North Dakota's quality of place, its abundant resources, and its people. That's it. We aren't promoting a cause, we are not promoting an organization. There are other fine magazines in the state that do North Dakota Outdoors, that cover the business climate, that are published by organizations for their members, but we're just North Dakota State Magazine. We are, we rely on subscriptions pretty much to support us, advertising. We have, some state magazines are state funded, they are in a line item in a budget somewhere. We are not. We do have some state agencies who purchase advertising from us or sponsor some pages, so we get some revenue from the state that way, but we are not what you'd call state funded.
Well, now, how often is it published?
We're quarterly.
Okay, it's a quarterly magazine.
Yes.
Talk some about the history. You mentioned a little bit, but when was it originally founded?
Well, this all started back in the late 60s. And it was a different time than it is now in North Dakota. And the GNDA, Greater North Dakota Association, had a publicity committee, and they kind of focused on the image of North Dakota and, kind of promoting all that's good in the state. And there were some minutes of one of their meetings in the late 60s where the topic of the conversation was negativism. It was like these people said, we are so concerned about the negative image of North Dakota, and we need to do something about it. A man from Minot was saying that when the Air Force bases came in and brought their wind chill factor, where they were making it sound like this was just the South Pole here. It was just terrible, so awful, and the military people were just scared silly to come to North Dakota. They thought it was just the worst place ever. And there's just some general talk that we just need to do something about this. There was another concern about all the families who had left during the Great Depression. They packed up and left at what was really a very terrible time in the Great Plains. And they've moved to different parts of the state, and so all their families ever heard was about how terrible things were in North Dakota, which was the reason why they left. And they thought, you know, we've got to reach to these next generation of people and let them know there are a few good things going on in North Dakota right now. We are out of the Great Depression, you know. So they thought, well, what could we do? And they kind of realized that probably a high quality publication might be a good thing to put out. So the first issue came out at the very end of 1970, called the Winter Edition. Here it is, North Dakota Horizons. Not much has changed. It's still pretty much, if you look at it, it's a lot of the same things that we cover now too. You know, the same quality of place, the abundant resources, the people. In 2010, we did a 40th anniversary issue of our magazine, and we put every cover in for 40 years worth of covers. And it's kind of interesting to kind of follow kind of the general themes. You know, they're seasonal, and they really do showcase the beauty of North Dakota.
Sure, sure. Well, with that said, you've been the editor since 2003. What goes into publishing each edition, and what's your role there?
Well, we are seasonal, so we come out just as the season is changing. The winter issue just came out, and our fall issue focused on fall events. The winter issue is focusing on, you know, winter events. We're just kind of trying to capsulize what is going on in North Dakota in the next 3-4 months. And we have a mix of feature stories. We like to do some historical features that are always very popular. We have tourism stories, events, things that are going on. We cover books that have been published that feature North Dakotans and North Dakota, and a calendar of events with a phone number and a website where people can get more information. So we just try to cover it all. We started a new feature this spring that we are calling Vittles in the Vast Lane, that we are featuring or focusing on North Dakota's food culture. Now, we've often written about restaurants and food in the past, and we noticed that whenever we did, we got such a great response. And so we decided to dedicate a few pages in every issue to that. Now, Vittles in the Vast Lane was the name of a brochure that came out during Governor Schaefer's administration. I talked to him about it, and he said it was his idea. He came up with the name himself. And he said, as he was traveling around the state, he would run into all these great places to eat, especially in the small towns. And he just wanted to get something out to promote all the good places to stop to eat. So with the permission of the tourism department, they said we could use it and keep on kind of promoting the food culture of North Dakota.
So how many contributors do you have? I don't know if you look at it on a year or on a quarterly magazine?
I would say I have a good dozen or so writers around the state. They are constantly emailing me. Of course, I have probably a list of potential stories about 10 pages long. So it's like we're never short of stories. Our challenge is always to have a good mix of stories that cover a cross section of the state and that are kind of timely, fit the season. And, but they contact me and say, hey, what about a story about this? Or what about that? Or if I know of something that I'd like to do, I contact someone who would be a good writer. In fact, I've got someone working on our spring issue about the extreme sports activities in the state, how there's kind of been an increase in that. And so he's working on that. Our winter issue focused on, the main feature is the 15th anniversary of the announcement by Ralph Engelstad of his $100 million gift to the University of North Dakota to build the hockey arena. And so we kind of tied in, the story about that and what it has meant to the state of North Dakota in the past 15 years for someone to step forward with such a historic gift. So.
Well, with that said, you talk about the magazine is sort of all-encompassing. Then it's not just events. It's really everything.
We try to do that. Yeah, people say they like the history features. We've done some readership surveys, and people say they like that. We did one on Grant Marsh in our fall issue, and Captain Grant Marsh, who piloted the Far West Riverboat and carried back the wounded soldiers from the Battle of the Little Bighorn, and people like that. We had one recently about the two governors named Burke. and their different stories, how they both had very compelling stories and were very interesting people. And in our winter issue that's out now, we have a feature on Wilhelmer Stephenson, the Arctic explorer. This is the centennial of his, the beginning of his Arctic expedition into Canada.
Well, yeah, tell us about the annual high tea in Garrison. I had no idea about this until reading in the current issue.
Yeah, you know, we've always had a kind of an events calendar. And then when we started our Vittles in the Vast Lane section, we have dedicated a page to community food events. And so in our fall issue, we highlighted the high teas in Garrison that are part of the Dickens Festival. And, you know, it's got a pretty pure English flavor to it, and you can wear your hats if you want. If not, they will provide them for you because they just seem to think that tea tastes better when you're wearing a fancy hat.
Well, with our Downton Abbey thing going on, we need to talk to them.
Absolutely.
Or maybe they've already taken advantage of it.
They might have them.
But, you know, you talked about the advertising a little bit. You know, it's funded through advertising. You mentioned that. But if people want to get involved, I mean, can they contact you?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have
yeah.
a sales force out there?
Yeah, we have contact. I'm usually the first person that they reach out to, and then I refer them to some people on our staff. But yes, we're always looking for ways to promote the magazine, partnerships. We have page sponsorships where some people, you know, if they want to on a regular basis have a story about, you know, their idea. We for a long time we had the Council on the Arts promoting stories about the arts programs in their communities around the state. We've had the State Historical Society give updates on all of its programming. We've had the Lewis and Clark Foundation do stories on what they're doing with their projects in Washburn. So there's always opportunities for page sponsorships, for advertising. And then I might add with our calendar, which we could get into later, we also offer some corporate sponsorship of the calendar also.
Well, there you go. Can you tell us about the annual calendar and how folks can get a 2014 calendar?
The calendar started in the mid-'70s, and it was a smaller format. I have one of the kind of earlier ones, you know, that was kind of spiral bound. And then we started working with nationwide distributor who said they all had to be the same size. Every calendar they distributed had to be 12 by 12. So, you know, we went with that format. And this is our 2014 calendar. And we have 13 images of North Dakota, you know, the cover plus every month. And we work with a number of photographers from around the state. They you know, send in photos, and we pick 12, or like I said, 13 every year, and then kind of try to get a mix. We have to get a geographical cross-section. We like, you know, some wide kind of pictures of wide areas, and then just kind of like a smaller, like a flower or sometimes an animal or something. So we try to get a wide cross-section of photos, and then businesses can have their logo imprinted on the bottom of each page, and that's a pretty popular option for giving to customers or to their employees or having them out. So it's something that we're real proud of. This is the 2014 calendar. It's called, the photo on here is called Hay-mazing, and it's got kind of the pretty patterns of the hay harvest in North Dakota. We also have packages where people can subscribe to both the magazine and the calendar, and, you know, get them together. And then we have them for sale, of course, across the state. But people who might want to get the package, they can just email to us the name of the person they want the calendar sent to, and we will take care of it for them. So that's real popular during the holiday season.
Now, do you have your own photographers, or do you allow people to submit pictures?
Yes, we have people submit them.
Right.
You know, we have a group of about 2 dozen, you know, who kind of keep in touch with us and send in their photos. But we're always looking for new ones. We do have we do have some kind of standards where because this is 12 by 12, the images have to be pretty large, you know. I could take a real nice photo on my iPhone, but it's not going to work on this. You know, we need to have a much higher resolution photo for this. So if anyone has any pictures, we're happy to talk to them. One thing I will say is we're always kind of a year ahead of ourselves with our calendar, because the calendar comes out 6 months before the next year. And so we have just made an arrangement to work with the North Dakota State Parks Department for the 2015 calendar, and this is going to be the 50th anniversary of the state park system in North Dakota. So every photo in the calendar is going to be taken at one of North Dakota's state parks.
You know, there's a lot going on in North Dakota with the oil boom and the economy there. How has that affected the magazine or your job?
Well, there's a lot of interest, you know, and I think, you know, the reason the magazine started 44 years ago was, you know, to let people know about all the great things going on in North Dakota. And with all the new residents we have coming to the state, I think it's just as important that we have a magazine like this that portrays all the good things about the state and gives people a good cross-section of what's going on across the state.
Well, why do you love the state, and why do you think the people and the places, what makes it so fascinating?
Well, it is just a beautiful state, you know, and there's just something charming about the kind of the beauty of it, the wide open spaces, the good people, just kind of I just love the neighborliness of everyone. You know, how you can live here for a while and be acquainted with everybody. The history in the state is just, you know, there's no end to all the great stories that can be written. So it's just a great state, and I'm so glad to be part of it.
Well, with that said, I know you like to promote books about North Dakota and authors from North Dakota. Can you tell us some about the ones that have been featured in the magazine?
Well, yeah, you know, we have, if you would think that not much is written about North Dakota, you would be mistaken, because there are so many people who put out stories. Many of them are memoirs, which are always very special, you know, about growing up. Some older people write about growing up during the Depression or things like that. They do a wonderful job. We have a lot of just kind of real high-end history books done. We have fiction done, just all kinds of great stories. In every issue, we try to do 4 or 5 books that people have written, and we don't critique them. We don't say it's a good book, it's a bad book. We say, this is a book that's about North Dakota, here's what it's about, and here's how to get it.
With that said, we had you on Prairie Pulse a few years ago with a book that you'd done about the late Senator Milton Young of North Dakota. Can you talk about what's the reaction been over the time since then?
The book came out in March of 2010, and it took us a few years to get it out, but now that it's out, it's been well received. A lot of people have said, you know, it packaged him and put things together, a lot of good pictures and everything that they didn't realize. We also had a DVD in there with some video clips of him speaking, and I think, you know, when you hear about the dysfunction in Congress today, can't help but think back to the days when Milton Young was there. You know, he was there in the mid-40s up until the 70s, and, you know, really a different time and a different era, and it's interesting to read about it. We just got an order for a dozen more books from a bookstore today, so they're continuing to be an interest in it.
Not a lot of time left, but what's next for the magazine? What's upcoming in the next issues?
Well, we just keep on going. You know, I mentioned we're doing the extreme sports. We're trying to get something together about some of the historic homes of North Dakota, trying to do a cross-section of that. There's no end to the great restaurants and the food culture reviews that we can do, so we're just keeping on.
Well, with that said, if people want more information or want to subscribe, where can they go? Who can they contact?
www.ndhorizons.com. We also have a Facebook page that you could track us down there. We have a blog we call Horizontal Lines, so people can keep up with us on there too.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned for more. Poetry Out Loud is a contest that encourages the nation's youth to learn about great poetry. This program helps students master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and learn about their literary heritage. Reed Wagner of Bismarck High School was North Dakota's 2013 State Poetry Out Loud third place finisher.
Poetry Out Loud is a poetry competition where it starts out in classrooms and then the whole school, and then it'll eventually go to state and then nationals. And kids from all these areas get together, they choose poems. It starts out with just 2 poems, and they have to memorize it and then interpret it, and they have to recite it. You can't move a whole lot. It's almost all your voice. You can move a little bit, but the more you move, the less likely you are to win. Poetry Out Loud makes a list of poems, and you can go on their website to find the poems. And there actually are requirements for the poems you choose. One of them has to be 25 lines or less. And another one has to be from an author from the pre-20th century. It's a little overwhelming because they have a lot of poems. There's a huge database. But you just kind of have to go through it and look at the ones you find you're interested in. It's important to understand what your poem is about, and that's actually a big process we went through. We had to read into them and think about what they meant, and not just to the author, but to us. And it really shows when you can connect to your poem. When I first started reading poetry, I was pretty confused by it, but as I looked more into it and I looked at the words, I could see what the author was trying to get across.
I felt a funeral in my brain, and mourners to and fro kept treading, till it seemed that sense was breaking through. And when they all were seated, a service like a drum kept beating, till I thought my mind was going numb.
I decided to enter because I thought it'd be a good experience for me to actually compete and try at something, because normally I'm not a very competitive person. I wanted to see how far I could go with it, and I thought some competition would do me good, and it did. I won the classroom competition, I won the school competition, and then I went on to get third place in the state competition.
Congratulations, our third place winner is Reed Wagner from Bismarck High School. Come on up here, Reed.
I was extremely nervous, even in the classroom and school competitions. When I went up there, my heart was beating so hard that I could hear it in my head. During the state competition, I had such a hard time keeping my cool because I was one of the first people up, and then I'd have to wait for everyone else to do their poem. While I was performing, I did my best to put it out of my head. I just thought, give people this chance to hear another story. I am very happy I did Poetry Out Loud. I think I gained confidence from it. If I put myself to something, I can do really well. I accomplished something and my family was so proud of me.
Through that window, all else being extinct except itself and me, I saw the struggle of darkness against darkness. Within the room it turned and turned, dived downward. Then I saw how order might, if chaos wished, become, and saw the darkness crush upon itself.
I've just learned to appreciate poetry more, in that no matter how short or long it is, it always has something unique for every person. You can look at it in so many different ways. It's just really beautiful in a sense, how simple they can be, and then how in depth and how meaningful they can also be. My third poem was Action by A.E. Stallings, and I chose this one because it's a little more funny than my previous 2 poems, which are a little more dark. This one's more just about getting back at someone. Action made fun of Artemis, the goddess of hunting. She decided to put a curse on him that would turn him into a stag.
This is the Bismarck State Capitol grounds, and I chose this area because it's about hunting and nature, and as you can see, there's plenty of nature around here.
Action by A.E. Stallings.
The hounds, you know them all by name. You fostered them from pure blind whelps at their dams' teats, and you have come to know the music of their yelps. high-strung Anthe, the brindled bitch, the blue tick-coated Philomel, and freckled Chloe, who would fetch a pretty price if you would sell. All fleet of foot and swift to scent, inexorable once on the track. Like angry words you might have meant, but do not mean, and can't take back. There was a time when you would brag of how they would bay and rend apart the hopeless belling from a stag. You falter now for the foundered heart. Desires you nursed of a winter night, did you know then why you bred them? Whose needling milk teeth used to bite the master's hand that leashed and fed them?
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funded by the North Dakota Council on the Arts and by the members of Prairie Public.